Okay, welcome back guys. We're here with another submission from a channel member. This is Nebula, who skipped the queue, and he's got a Slayer on Starboard for us. Even though it's in the theatre, we've got outlines on, we'll still be talking about stuff. So I just want to talk about this setup here. The starting part of the map, getting the Shroud is really important, and running for the Overshield is important, but running when 4 enemy players are alive is a risk. And in higher ranked lobbies, you would have got vaporized for doing something like that. One thing I do like that he's doing with the Overshield though is being very aggressive. What you see a lot of low rank players do is they get the Overshield and they just kind of sit there while it burns away. Notice how his Overshield's burning away at the top of the screen there. Don't be that guy. Get in there, get the Overshield used, and get some damage done. As we're moving up here, we're closing in on the rest of the enemy team, but one of the things we need to be careful of, if we just go back there, is we need to make sure that when we're pushing up here, if your teammates are here and they're over here, then it risks enemies spawning in the street area, the cargo area here, and also the cargo area behind him. So you want to be very careful pushing up like this. He has put himself in a scenario where he could potentially be pinched. His teammate is coming to help though, and he has got eyes on someone who's in car, but then he's not checked angles. So you want to make sure that you're checking angles when you're pushing through. He didn't check cargo at all there. You'll notice that in a lot of the pro VOD reviews that we do, they will always check angles. Nice that he didn't go in for the melee to take unnecessary damage. That guy was toast. But unfortunately, because we got put into another fight, teammates died. You can tell that the players that you're against aren't very coordinated. They're not reacting very well to like sound cues and things that are nearby. That repulsor would have been very loud for that player, and they didn't really react anyway to it. As we continue to push around, we want to be careful and we want to consider how momentum affects the game and how our movement affects the game. Okay, so with that in mind, we've spawned in cargo. We know the enemies are in red because that's where we died. So we're going to be looking over and making sure that we don't get flanked. And we're going to help our teammate who's pushing purple up there. Not a great place to stand by that enemy, but notice how his teammate's got P3. That's going to give you a lot of control over the map. He just wants to make sure that he stays on the same side of the map as most of his allies. So Capo probably wants to move back over to where Neb is. I like how you played that a little, but I don't like how you're challenging when your shields aren't ready yet. The enemy's disappeared, so he's probably P1 or he's backed off. Yeah, and so in that scenario there, you knew that you willingly engaged in a 2v1. So if that's the case, I would have probably dropped P1 to stop running into someone else or backed up. Okay, we're respawning on P. We know that those enemies were nearby, so they might be in red cargo. So while we're watching this blue cross, we want to be meeting up with teammates and holding this area here. Holding the top area is good when you've got the overshield, although going out here, we can see there's a lot of enemies alive. This is definitely a death sentence. Yeah, so we're just being a little too careless when we're pushing the top there. You can't do that without the Shroud, or without at least one enemy player being dead. If you've got a lot of coordination, you could call when they're all weak and try and do it, but it's still very risky. You know they're in car because that's where you got shot from. That's good. We're missing a few of the jumps here. There is a little ledge on the stair. Just be careful standing too close to them. We're getting some shots off. And again, are we going to go for it again? We really want to be careful with this. This is very risky. We don't want to die for this again. Getting some pressure on's good. A better team wouldn't have let you get away with that. See how you almost didn't get away with it. The overshield is very important that you go for it when the enemy team is at a disadvantage. You can't just run for it. But you want to push here. You have the advantage. You want to crush them. So big aggressive. Although team probably should have followed up. I would have gone big aggressive there. You know, you've got the overshield, you've got time. You'd already committed. You could have traded. You could have got 2 kills instead of 1. Team's now moving into collapse with you not doing that much damage. You've got to be careful. Get some information. We're not doing a lot of pinging, although I'm assuming we had voice comms during this. But you are stood out in the open here. Again, you would have got beamed for standing there. So you want to try and take fights from sort of... So if we look at the base across, you want to try and take fights where you're standing near the pillars here and here, or you could use the window. Try not to use cargo because that tends to get you trapped. Or you can even try and take a few fights stood down here, but don't take them from the center. Don't stand in the center, and definitely don't take them here because you just get beamed. These areas here, anywhere that's sort of in this shaded area here, you will get absolutely beamed if you try and shoot people from that location. So don't try and take fights from those locations. It's very dangerous to do that. Taking the shocks is okay if you're at an advantage though and you know that it's safe to do so. And this is a nice little jump up to blue too. A lot of people don't usually do that. You can tell you had a bit of lag during this game actually because you're jittering quite a lot. This guy's gone bottom. Watch check in the middle there. You would have probably got beamed for that and you did take some damage. One of the things I'm feeling that you're doing a little bit is you're being very haphazard about angles and you're sort of throwing yourself out into the open without really considering what that's going to do. This is an okay transfer from the bottom of the base to here. This is a nice little place. You can shoot through that gap, by the way. But this is fine. There's nothing wrong with what you're doing here. You're on the same side as the team. And one of the things... That was a nice kill. One of the things that people really need to be careful of when they play this map is you have to imagine that as you move around the map, the line of defense you have almost turns like a clock. And so you really don't want to be caught out by being on the outside of that sort of your half of the pie chart. And the more that a team takes control of the map, the smaller the area of the pie chart that you will get. And that's when you start getting spawn killed, and that's when you start getting loads of pressure put on you. And you'll know when you're against a good team because they will do that to you. We are prioritizing overshield again. We did get a kill, and his teammates are putting pressure on. And we didn't get away with it again. So we're too eager for it. You need to slay first. Yeah, we always say on the channel, hashtag slay first. We need to get the kills, then go. So if you think of the score now being 20-20, if you'd not have gone for overshield 3 times, it'd now be 20-17 and you'd be winning. Again, this is risky. We're in that shaded area that I said you shouldn't be in. You should have gone back into the base. But that guy misses his shots, luckily, and you get away with it. The pulse is down. Someone's nearby. There he is. 2 people are dead. I do condone going top at this point. They're going to spawn behind you. Or they're going to spawn in red cargo to the right because of where you're stood. There you go. Incoming fire from red cargo. Always be aware of where your teammates are and where people are going to spawn on this map. You can check out the video that we did for this map, the Starboard video that we did a few weeks ago. That might help you with setups and things. But we just want to be super careful. We're sort of carelessly running around the map. Crosshair placement there could have been a little better if we just go back and look at that again really quickly. Notice how you come down. So where are we looking here? Are we ready for a fight? Again, where are we looking here? We kind of did it, and then you're sort of looking over here. You want your reticule to be over here, remember? And this guy that comes up, and you're totally not ready for it. And you get absolutely launched into the ceiling. So it's just a little bit of rust, a little bit of carelessness. There has been some decent things that you've done, some good things. You are trying to play with your team somewhat, but you are just a little too careless. You're almost throwing yourself around the corner. So we've had a few deaths that could have been prevented. Again, that was carelessly throwing yourself around the corner. If we just talk a little bit about how we should peak angles, and we just go back. If we're going to peak this angle here, we want to do a wide peak. What you don't want to do is go over the top like the player did, and then fully commit yourself to jumping over again, because there's no way to escape. You want to do a wide peak where you want to go this way around, and you want to be able to see what's over here behind the box and get the information. And if it's not favourable, then you can just back out again. But if you jump up like that, you're almost certainly going to die. And that's exactly what happens after where he jumps into 2 players. So it's a game of information. We want to make sure we don't throw ourselves into a scenario that's potentially unfavourable. And any scenario where you don't have information is technically unfavourable. So get that information. Okay, 3 people dead. Let's lay low. Let's stay under car. Don't tell them where you are. There wasn't really anything you could get from benefiting from shooting there. So if we just scroll back a little bit here. Let's try to think about the information that would be beneficial from taking that shot. So all your teammates have died. They may know that you're in car because you shot a bullet, but... So here, peeking here is really dangerous because 1, you're telling the enemy team where your team is going to spawn. So they now know that your team is going to spawn blue cargo. You've just told them. 2, you've got the low ground, so if they know where you are, they could just nade the ever-loving crap out of you, and there's nothing you can really do. And 3, they control red base because 2 people on your team died there, so that means that you have incoming from behind you. So you want to be really careful taking this. You can peek if you want, but shooting this guy gives you nothing. If you shoot him, you definitely tell him where you are. And also, it's very unlikely you would score a kill, because we don't know for sure or not if this is the player that killed Loyal Capo down here. There's too many unknowns. So I wouldn't have taken that shot, and I definitely wouldn't have peeked out either. We didn't check the angle again. I know I'm sort of tearing you to bits here. You did get the trade, which is better than nothing, but again, it's another unnecessary death. So at this point, we could have potentially been at 24-29 winning, but instead we're tied. Taking the high ground's good. Your team is mostly on the car side though, so you need to check behind you. You haven't checked. Nice foreshot across the map. That guy's in window. That suggests someone's coming up. We need to check angles a little more. And because now we're exposed to pink and someone just died there. Sorry, car. And someone just died there. There you go. There's the guy we were talking about. So again, it's angle isolation. So if we use that as an example. So when we're taking this fight up here, we're very exposed to this side, and we know that allies have died because there's crosses there. If we want to take this fight here, we should do so from inside pink, and we should do it maybe even a little further back. So I would maybe take it from the red side of the stairs if I could. Sometimes it's not worth putting the damage in because it's going to get you killed. So here in this 2v1, you're fully exposed. Notice how you've moved the chest pieces, so you're now stuck on the bridge. And now you're trying to get the overshield and escape, and we die again. So that's 5 times we've died. Trying to get the overshield this game, so we would be 5 points ahead. Okay, we're spawning red bottom, so that tells us that they're at blue cargo or blue 2 with our teammates at top P. Again, we're very quickly running into danger here. The middle of the map, when you don't know where anyone is a death sentence. I've got no idea how you weren't killed for this. One of the things on this map is you should patrol around the edges, and you should be very reluctant to go to the middle for that exact reason what's just happened on the screen. The bottom middle is just a complete death trap, unless you control that entire side of the map. Okay, we're in red cargo, so that tells us that they're either in blue cargo, pink, or blue base. This push up with the team's good. We're checking out. See, this time we are checking sightlines. We jumped out the window, which was a little risky, but we're checking. We're using the box as cover to cut sightlines. That's good. But then teammates and lack of awareness to the left. Maybe there was a comm or not. That push should have been called out, and we should have all attacked that one angle. The tower could have been used to isolate where they were pushing from. Where are we aiming? Crosshair, crosshair, crosshair. Where are we looking? Okay, now we're checking sort of. I like the attempts at curb sliding to get some good movement. But again, we're sort of pushing very haphazardly into the enemy team, and we're pushing solo as well. As you go up in rank, you will find that the amount of 1v1 fights you have will go down exponentially. Onyx players are less likely to check solo than platinum or gold players, and some diamond players are very reluctant to check solo as well. So if you're dying a lot in games, try to record how often you're dying when you die solo, and you'll probably be surprised with how many times it happens. So this time we are playing cautiously, when in fact we maybe could have pushed that. If someone is being shot by someone else, a very good piece of advice is that a player cannot shoot 2 people at the same time. I guess unless they have a rocket launcher. So if an enemy is engaged with another ally already, you should do everything you can to also engage on that enemy without putting yourself in danger. Oh, we don't want this. That's going to kill you. Ooh, that was lucky. We peaked a little early there. Shields weren't fully recharged, but I like the aggression. But you've got to remember that if you kill them and you push into blue, they're going to spawn at red behind you. So you can't just push mid into blue base. You can push from the streets, but you can't push middle. And we also gave up the high ground as well. And I think the enemy team's going to get the overshield here. Yep. He's going to kill you for it. Ooh. This game must have been quite laggy. Good use of wall cover there, not standing really close to it. But get caught out by the overshield. I'm a little confused why your team let the overshield get through there. But they did get him, I guess. We are still winning by 4 points, but we could have been winning by a lot more. And as you go up the ranks, pointless deaths become more and more important to victory. That was a little better. You wide peeked the wall so you could see. Whenever you peek, you always want to be far from the wall, because if you're close to the wall, you'll see your shoulder first. It's a nice little flank around. If we'd have shot the gun instead of going for the assassination, maybe your teammate wouldn't have died. And then we just get sandwiched again because his teammates are behind us and we're leaving gaps. So I think it's an issue of cohesion with the team, but I think they're pre-made 3. And so we're sort of breaking formation a little more than we should. It might be pre-made 4 actually. So we're sort of moving slightly too far away. You got to imagine your team like magnets. Magnets stop having an effect once they're so far away. So if you're going to push stuff like this is another solo push. And I think the lag probably didn't help, but again, we died for it. We could have just backed off, and if an ally was nearby, we could have just done a switch. Last kill, that guy's completely caught out. Oh no, wait, the score is showing us as the other side. So we are actually losing. So this whole time I thought we were the green team, but we're actually the purple team. So we would actually be winning by 2 if we'd not died at overshield. In fact, we'd be winning by 5 if we'd have not. All the solo deaths we've had this game, we'd be winning by 5. Don't over-challenge this. This is very risky to push this when you don't know where the enemies are on the left side. Okay, so they're not on the left, so they must be on the right. This is very risky. You have no teammates who can help you right now. If you get 3-man pushed, you're basically dead. Okay, we've seen a nade come from red, so we know we're there. Let's use cover to push. The other team has thrown this so hard. They just needed to stay together. Oh. Wow. And the hesitation. Okay, so. That's the end of the game. Thoughts? First of all, with pushing solo too much, and you really want to look in your gameplay for anyone who's watched this video, how many times do you die solo in a game? Second, I didn't see you respond to enemies taking damage that much. I'm not sure how many assists you got because we didn't get that information. But the assists I feel could have potentially been higher. Did we get that information? No, we didn't get that information because it was in the theater. So we weren't taking fights with allies. We were solo pushing a little bit and we were throwing ourselves in danger a little too often than we should have. So suggestions for this is you obviously have confidence in your mechanics and that's okay. But confidence in mechanics isn't going to cover if you make a silly decision. So you need to make sure that when you're going to push things, that you push with knowledge that teammates can help. And also you push them in a way that makes sense and you take wide peeks around angles. I'll put some on top of what I'm saying now just so you can kind of see what I mean. But that's the main thing I had with this. So hope you guys enjoyed the VOD review. We keep them quick, we keep them simple just so we can get them out. This was a member VOD review. As I said, more stuff coming soon. The Argyle video, the Empyrean video, as well as some other maps as well. And some pro VOD reviews as well. So hope you enjoyed it. This has been Vanadam. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. See you later.